Tim, should we tell the listeners how to join the Golfweek Amateur Tour?
Yes, of course. We should probably do it now before we forget, though.
I agree. It's simple. All you need to do is go to amateurgolftour.net, click the Join the Tour button, and pay your local tour's membership.
Thanks, Chris. Membership for 2024 is open, so register today to join the oldest, largest, and best amateur tour in the country.
And remember, this podcast can be found on all the major platforms. So make sure you like, download, and share it with all your friends and family.
Chris, that's a great idea. Now, on to the show. Welcome to episode 50, Chris. Thanks for being my partner for the last almost 2 years and 50 episodes.
It's crazy. You know, we were talking about this off air, how we can't believe it's been 50 episodes and now we're here. And it's been a fun ride. You know, I appreciate you offering me this opportunity. It's been great, and can't wait to have some laughs on our 50th episode.
Yeah, this is going to be really good episodes. It's going to be a little bit different than a normal episode, but I'm thinking everybody's going to like it. You know, we're going to talk about the number 50 a lot, but the real question is, do you know what the number 82 means?
I do, but let's save that.
You got it. So we'll talk about 82 and 50 throughout the episode this week. We've got a lot of good things going on. I think you're going to like this episode. And we did get another update from our friends in Columbus and Mick. So stay tuned for the latest saga.
Yep, it's going to be fun. Let's get this started.
All right, bud. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Golfweek Amateur Tour, the podcast. Talking about all things Golfweek Amateur Tour, including interviews with tour directors, players, and course pros. Now, here are your hosts, Atlanta Tour Director Tim Newman and El Paso Las Cruces Director Chris Rocha.
All right, Chris, you know, we just talked a little bit about a couple different numbers, number 50
right,
and number 82. But for those that don't know, this is episode 50 of the podcast, and we do things a little bit differently around here. And, you know, there's a reason why this is a bi-weekly show as opposed to, you know, number one, we're not Joe Rogan. And not only do we both have day jobs, we're both running tours. And
right,
you know, doing this podcast is it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of work. So, you know, bi-weekly is really, you know, obviously, and I think for the tour, that's probably really where we should be.
Yeah, I agree. I think we get enough to keep, you know, you listeners intrigued for 2 weeks, and then we release some more information. And like you said, you know, it is a lot of work. You put a lot of time into editing and getting us sound as best as we can. I don't know if we'll ever be a daily podcast. That'd be kind of hard.
We'll never be daily. I doubt we'll ever even be weekly, you know, because, you know, in the season that may work, but, you know, come after national championship, we're all tired.
Right.
You know, there's not nearly as much going on. We need to take a break. And
right,
again, you know, I think for, you know, the content that we're talking about and producing here, and for what are now, unless our members and listeners say, you know what, Tim and Chris, we want to hear you every week. If that's what they say, yeah, I guess you and I
we'll figure something out.
We'll have a conversation with Dennis and Jennifer and say, you know, this is what they're saying. We need to figure out if and how we want to do it.
Right.
Because again, without our members and without our listeners, guess what? We're not doing this 50 episodes. We wouldn't have made it 50 episodes.
Right. I agree. And I mean, if you look at all the tours around the country, you know, it's usually about every 2 weeks that there's a tournament. Mm-hmm. So it kind of makes sense for us to go every 2 weeks. Now, if you're one of those guys on the East Coast that can travel to 10 different tours within an hour and a half each and play every weekend, you know, good for you. Do that. You know, us guys on the West Coast, it's still a 5+ hour drive just to get to the next tour. But I've enjoyed every 2 weeks. it gives me something, myself to listen to for 2 weeks, kind of critique how I'm doing on there, and then get ready. We're doing interviews in between episodes, so we get to hear the new content before everybody else. But it's just still fun to be able to press play once it drops and kind of listen to how weird I sound on the mic. But it is what it is.
Well, Chris, again, I do all the editing, and just so that you know, I have to do very little editing for you.
That's good to hear. That makes me feel better.
The majority of the editing comes from me.
Hey, you know what though? If you haven't done it yet, and I'm talking to you, Tim, not to our listeners, because please don't do it unless you want a good laugh. I've listened to our first episode.
Yes.
And man, we have improved so much.
We really have.
Because Jesus, he took the wheel on that first episode. I think we've learned a lot, and it's just the interviews we've had and the compliments that we've gotten. Especially on our what we call our U.S. tour this year. Even nationals last year. Just people just coming up and saying how much they love it, and that we're glad we're doing something like this. I think it brought the tour to the next level. Yeah,
I think it's done a lot for the tour, and we'll talk about that. In our first segment coming up here in a couple minutes. One of the things that we talk about there is, number one, if we didn't improve, we wouldn't be here for 50 episodes,
right?
Because our members and listeners wouldn't actually be listening,
right?
And so, and again, just like anything else, you and I are not happy with status quo. We're not happy with mediocre. We're always looking at what we can do to be better, what we can do to improve, not only in how we sound and how we look.
Right.
Because if people haven't noticed, we are producing a little bit more video over the last month and a half, 2 months. And that's because, we're putting a little bit more, I wouldn't say effort, but more time into some of the video things. Right.
Yep.
But also in the content and who we're bringing on and the interview styles and structures and those types of things to get the most out of it for, again, I'm going to say this a lot this episode, for our members and for our listeners. Because again,
right,
without you, our members and listeners, we wouldn't be here for 50 episodents.
Correct. I mean, look at what we've done the last, couple months, having our rules, Rogers with the rules. We didn't have them for a while with us because we were traveling, but even then, those rule segments that we have been vital to you and me and our tours when a question comes up, but even members who are listening and, I didn't know about this rule or I didn't know I could do this with a red steak or a yellow steak or this and that. Those things that we've thought of, how can we give the listeners some extra tools while they're playing golf, some extra things that they probably didn't know about.
Yeah, we're going to have Roger on next episode, and we're going to go over hazards one more time. We laugh because, I had an incident at a tournament, and I'm not going to go into it too much, but I insisted that I was right, and turns out that, guess what? I was right. And Chris, I didn't tell you, the guy who questioned me, he came back the next day and continued to tell me I was wrong, even after I showed him the rule book.
Soft. We'll cover that next episode. No need to put a little downer on our special episode here.
And again, I said I don't know what to tell you. This, I mean, here it is. And then Roger had an incident with the same rule. So again, we're going to have Roger on next week, and we're going to cover hazards and the options one more time.
And it probably won't be the last time either.
Probably not. But let's talk about some other things before we really start talking about our 50th episode. So I asked you a question in the opening, 82. Right. What does that number mean?
And when you told me this number, it shocked me because I can't believe we're under triple digits. But we're 82 days away from national championship. And it's crazy to even think that.
Yes. So this episode drops, July 29th. So July 29th, we're 82 days away from teeing off National Championship October 18th, 2024 in Hilton Head.
Yeah.
82 days.
I haven't even started to consider planning for National Championship. And I'm usually one that plans months in advance. So I need to get in gear. And if you're planning on going, start now. Don't wait till the end, because I don't want to say the island's small, but it's not one of the bigger ones out there. It gets packed. And when you have all these golfers out there and all their families, it's a circus.
Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, Strixon.
A great iron set needs more than good looks. It's got to be fast and got to be pure. But good looks never hurt either. The all-new ZX Mark II irons from Strixon.
Well, I would say you better start getting ready now, because there's a change. Registration for National Championship opens on Thursday, August 1st.
Yes.
So it's not
Yes.
September 1st this year. It's Thursday, August 1st, 3 days away. Registration opens for the National Championship.
Yeah. And you want to get registered as quickly as possible. Registered and paid to hold your spot, because, as history repeats itself, it can sell out very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're playing in one of the regionals in August, for your chance to get in or paid, depending on what the regional is offering, I would still suggest register and pay, and then send that support email and see what they can do for you, because you don't want to miss your spot. That's for sure.
Exactly. So get that registration in August 1st. Let's get it rolling. And as we talk, you and I are going to be doing a live broadcast again. That the Thursday of registration. We'll put out details for that. Again, I'm really, really looking forward to that as well. When we go to the regionals, we're seeing a bunch of players from all over the place. But what we did last year, being able to see all of the players come in and being able to talk to a variety of players from all different tours. Remember, you and I were only going to do it for an hour. We were there for over
Right.
2.
Right.
Which was great.
I mean, you say all over different tours, but even different ages too.
Yeah.
We had kids that wanted to come on and just talk, and they were intrigued. And, we encourage you, come have a chat with us, even if it's 5-10 minutes. We want to hear your story. What brought you to National Championship? Obviously, you played well enough to get an invite, but what you're looking forward to that week at a National Championship. Everybody wants to win. Maybe some people have goals to make the money or make top 25 or whatever. Maybe we want to hear all that.
Exactly. Now, to go along with that, the live regionals, we got one more trip, and Chris and I are still discussing how that's going to happen. The regional French Lick, I will definitely be there, and we're going to work out how we're going to get Chris patched in, because he'll be helping Gabe with the Scottsdale regional.
Yes.
But the World Tour is still going on. There's going to be one more leg to that, and again, we'll provide more detail with that as we get closer.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to go out to TPC. Last year I had that incident with my back and I wasn't able to play, so I am looking forward to playing this year. I've gotten as close as second place 2 years ago, so maybe I can pull it off. I've had a good streak this year. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to get patched in with the French Lick winners, have those little conversations. I'll be out there at TPC with my microphone interviewing winners and so on and so forth. And it's going to be a good time. I think you and me both will have a great time out there.
Absolutely. So that takes us to our shirt contest. And we have a winner for the month of June. And
Tight race.
It was tight race is an understatement. Shaggy Brown from the DC Tour has gone back to back. So he won both May and June. He won by one vote. So, get your shirts in for July. And then there's only a couple days left in July. So you got to get them in. And then August is the last month. But I would encourage you all to go to the podcast homepage and see pictures of the winners, and pretty soon you and I are going to be setting up the brackets.
Yes, that's going to be fun. I can't wait for that, and can't wait to see who wins, and if they're able to provide that shirt for us, because there's a little something extra if we can get a shirt for both of us, and I'll wear it the first day if I need to.
Oh yeah. I'll probably end up wearing it all 3 days.
Please wash it.
Well, we'll talk about it. Let's go ahead and bring in our first guest. Tell everybody who our first guest is.
Yeah, I mean, our first guest is the man, the myth, and the legend himself. He's the one that, without his vision, we wouldn't have what we have now. So let's definitely bring in the El Presidente, Mr. Dennis McCormac. Dennis, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys, and congratulations on your 50th episode. That's just an unbelievable accomplishment.
Well, thanks. When we started this, number one, we said it all along. Nobody thought it was going to grow into what it's grown to. It was really just kind of something that we wanted to do for fun to kind of help out and just kind of, talk about what's going on with the tour across the country for everybody else to, kind of know what's going on. And it's morphed into this giant that, from my perspective, has really connected people all across the country.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. And as I thought about this, when you told me I was going to come on and it's the 50th episode, much like what you just said, 30 years ago, I started this, what I thought was just going to be a golf league in Charlotte, North Carolina. And here we sit now, 30 years later, with 75 tours across the country, over 8,000 players. Never thought I'd have a podcast on top of everything else that we have. So it's truly amazing what you guys have done.
So what do you think the podcast has brought, to the players, from your perspective?
I think it's another great way for players to interact and know what's going on around the country. I mean, we've improved on so many facets of the tour, social media, our webpage, our email blast. This is just another layer and a better layer because there's so much person-to-person contact here. You get to talk to players. You get to unravel things that no one knows about the players. No one knows about tour directors. They're able to come on and talk about their players and their upcoming events and just what's going on in their local markets, which we would never be able to do with an email or a social media post.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the best stories we've told? You talk about, some of the players, and as soon as you said that, there's a couple things that come to mind, that Luke with the tattoo, Mick Archer in Columbus, which we'll get to later because he keeps in contact with me, but he sent me a couple more videos. Those types of stories. What do you think are some of the best stories you've heard, from the podcast?
Yeah, and there are a lot, and I was thinking about that. I think last year at the National Championship, when you guys were live, talking to all the players, talking to tour directors, talking to the guy who won his national championship for next year, it just was an exciting broadcast, and the players and the tour directors really got into it. And you guys kind of, you didn't ad-lib it, but it kind of was like, hey, let's just do this during registration. And next thing you knew, it blew up from there. And, going into this year, you guys knowing more what you're going to do, I can't wait to, see the response from players and tour directors and family members. That's the great thing you guys do is you bring in all these family members that listen as well.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'll just say, I think that was fun what we did, that day. Kind of threw people off when they walked in and saw us there with a bunch of computers and just hanging out. But it was a great time. And we had 2 kids on there from the
mm-hmm.
They're sipping my name. But
it was Kelvin Hughes' son and daughter.
Right. And they just were watching for a while. And Tim just says, you guys want to get on? And who knows, maybe one day we'll be interviewing them with them being participants of the national championship, which will be cool.
Well, I actually saw Kelvin at our last tournament. We did a joint event with Augusta and Columbia, and Kelvin was there, and he said that his son and daughter already want to be on the show when they come up in October again.
And then there's always the James brothers. If you can ever get them to stay under 30 minutes, it'll be a miracle.
Exactly.
See, we got them under 30, but the download time that it took to get us was another hour of just jokes and stories and laughter that nobody that only we got to hear, which was great.
Exactly.
Yeah, Tony and Charlie are playing right now down at the senior regional that Tim Sumption's hosting down at Caledonia and True Blue.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but as I think through, there's so many. Most recently, which sticks in my mind because it's very personal to me, your interview with Gaines Beard and his writing of his memoirs in golf. I've known Gaines a long time, and you guys did a great job of extracting all of his experiences. Excuse me. He called me back right after and just said, wow, that was, just incredibly professional and well done. And that's what you guys continue to do, is increase your professionalism, the way you interview, the way you extract information from our players and tour directors. It's truly a gift you guys have.
I appreciate it. For me, Dennis, as you know, I need to start. I needed to do this to have something that was fun to do to get me away some of the other things that I had going on in my life, and to think that I would have you or anybody saying those types of things is a real compliment.
Well, and it's just not me, and thank God we were able to. One thing I can do is sell. It wasn't hard to sell sponsors for the podcast after I sent them some links and hookups of things you've done in the past. I mean, with Shrixon, Meridian Putters, JB Golf, and my good friend here on the island, JR, John Robinson Real Estate. I believe next year we can add a few more sponsors at that level and be able to put you guys on the road a little bit more, because I really, really enjoy hearing you on the road, experiencing the regionals with the tour director who's running it, and getting feedback from the players immediately on site, much like you did at Nationals.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, the ones that we've been to, just recently we were up in Michigan with Michelle at American Dunes, and I'll tell you, if you missed American Dunes, you really missed out. The course is great, but the atmosphere is very touching. And you need to get up there. And then down in Louisiana with Gene at the Cajun Classic. And I tell you, they put it on the first class tournament down there, Dennis. And it was fun. The interaction with the members and the players there was a complete blast.
Yeah, I mean, your exit interviews with Gina and
Trey,
thank you, on their ride home and telling you, all the things and what they do, and Trey saying that he calls the winners. Mm-hmm. I mean, just incredible stuff that I would have never thought any tour director did.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying we just have stories outside of golf, outside of the podcast that we got to talk about with members. I met so many people that they just say they've heard my voice and knew it was me. It's like, okay, cool. My little cartoon picture is a lot cuter than real life, isn't it? So, being able to do that this year was a lot of fun. Back-to-back weekends, we might have to rediscuss that, but it was a lot of fun.
I think the cartoon edge goes to Tim Nimmin. I think that his cartoon looks better.
You know what? It's fine. He can have it.
Well, I remember when I sent that over to Jennifer, she said, that's not even you. You don't even look like you. I said, you're right. That's why we got to use it.
Right. This looks like a 40-year-old skinny guy.
Exactly. See? So, Dennis, we do have one more trip, and Chris and I have been talking about how we're going to make it work, but he's not going to be able to make it to French Lick, but I will be out there, and we'll figure out how to get Chris plugged into that. But, that French Lick tournament, and I really want to go up and talk to the general manager and get some stories, from him about, being part of building that course. Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, Shrixon.
ZX Mark II drivers are for major players, major winners, major power. All new ZX Mark II drivers, only from Shrixon.
Yeah, because I remember you had him on last year, and he explained how PB Dye literally on a napkin drew that whole thing up. And the first night he said, I'm not sure I'm going to do this project.
Yeah.
So incredible. Again, just what you extract that, nobody would ever know though about that is just great for our viewers, our players, our sponsors, and when we have sponsors on, you do a great job of letting them explain what they're doing and why they're doing it with the tour, where they're moving forward. And I've got Meridian putters this weekend not only doing a demo, but they're both playing in my tournament at Sea Island.
Well, it's funny you say that because, in Atlanta, I had like 5 members come up and talk to me about Ken Roman and how he goes about, the fittings and that, the interview that we did. And they really enjoyed how in depth, we got, because, they're kind of like me, a little bit more analytical in that process. And they said that they learned a ton just about, clubs and fitting that they never would have known.
Yeah. I mean, Sam Wolf, who's director of golf at Arthur Hills here in Palmetto Dunes, he grew up, his family owned a golf course in North Carolina. So he's been in the game his whole life. And he said to me, no, never have I met someone and been instructed by someone like Ken. He goes, he can take your game if you're scratch to plus, if you're a 6 to scratch in a matter of a couple hours, just by what he tells you and how he knows the technology and what you should be swinging. He doesn't change your swing. He just changes the equipment that you're using. He said he's the best fitter I've ever seen.
You think we'll get him to national championship?
Yes. No, we're working on hopefully getting a whole team, at least 4 fitters, like back in the days, that we had several years ago, set up on the end of the driving range, be there for 4 or 5 days, put up a scheduled fitting session. It's in the works. I would find it highly unlikely it won't happen because we can also work with Worldwide Golf and then we'll watch that product on site.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's going to be so cool. I remember those days.
Yep. And actually, believe it or not, Ken Roman was with that company back then. So he's already been here and done it. So he's told the president of Shrixon, look, I was there. This works.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Players bought on site.
Well, if I can lose 20, 30 pounds by then, I'll get fitted by him and I'll start playing golf again, so, but yeah. And that his interview, I mean, I thought was phenomenal. And talk about JR for a second. JR knows everything about the island.
He does. He could run for mayor of the island. I mean, I know the mayor, he's a cool dude, but JR literally loves this island to death. As he said, he got here, he was a tennis pro, worked with Stan Smith, and then went on to get into real estate. He is so well connected here, so well liked here. And you're right. There isn't a thing he doesn't know about this island. Most guys say 12 by 5, this, that, and the other. JR will get down to the forest preserve in Sea Pines. The one on the right is my favorite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love talking to him and Jay Butler Golf. His reality show. He just sent something out on that's coming out here in the next couple of weeks. That he did.
Yeah, and you guys helped him greatly on that. I mean, he ended up being in the finals or the semifinals out of 200 teams, I think, were in there. So, again, kudos to you guys and the job you do and how well you promote other people's brands.
We learn from the best.
Well, I don't know about that, but we all try hard. We all try hard. We all try to do it better and better every time. We never are satisfied with that's a wrap.
Exactly.
Good as a kid. Yeah.
Because, it's, and Jen gets on me all the time, because she listens to the podcast and she says, oh, you did a good job with this. I said, well, you didn't hear this and there's this and this and this. And she said, well, you need to give yourself and Chris some grace and say, okay, yeah, you did something good. I said, but, we're representing the tour. We're representing, the 8,000 plus members. We need to make sure that we get it right and that we sound good and hopefully, get more people listening to the podcast and hopefully as well, draw in even more members.
There's no doubt. I know you're drawing in members because I've had my own guys say, hey, I told one of my friends, if you don't believe me, just listen to the podcast, listen to what players are saying, listen to what tour directors are saying. So it is garnering us members for sure. Yeah.
Oh, good. I talked about Mick and the guys in Columbus. My goal within the next year is to get Bruce. To get Butch on the podcast.
Hey, yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe we can start at nationals, get him at senior nationals.
Yeah.
Where it's a little less congested.
Maybe hijack him a little bit, put him in a corner.
Right. If you can catch him.
Exactly. Exactly. So as we rolling into, the last, 2 months of the season, what's going on? What can we look forward to? I know we got national championship registration coming up, and what else?
That's correct. Yeah, that'll be coming out in August. But August is the last real busy month for the regional series. Already Lyle, the Virginia regional, he's already sold it out. 150 guys. He's doing a double shotgun both days, only Lyle. My Sea Island is this weekend, so by the time this airs, it'll already be over. But I'm all set down there. And then we've got the Western Regional. Gabe, amazing, just like Lyle. He'll have 180 guys, both courses, both days, already sold out. I think he has 3 spots left. And French Lick that you're going to, he has like 130 registered and only 120 spots available. So he'll sell that out for sure.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we don't want to leave out the senior guys. The regionals coming up are West Coast. Again, Gabe's running that out of Paris Fest. And then the Players Championship is only a couple weeks away at Sawgrass, TPC Sawgrass. And last I checked, there were a few spots left. And then finally, Scott Ide and the Charlotte Tour is going to one of my favorite spots, Rock Barn, where they hosted senior tournament there for like 15 years. It's the Jones and the Jackson course. Both those courses are phenomenal. It's a great facility. So if you're a senior looking to play in August, those 3 are still available.
That's awesome. Especially, we're getting down to it and really, guys are signing up and selling these last few out, get as many points as they possibly can to get that qualification for national championship.
That's correct. Yep, that is absolutely correct. And not to mention that you're playing some of the best guys in the country at these regionals. I mean, Mike Champflight at Sea Island, besides Joe Jaspers being there, is probably the toughest Champflight you're going to see in a regional. I mean, I've got all the top guys, and it's going to play out, to be quite a fun Sunday to see who ends up shaking out the winner in that.
Oh, I'm glad. I just pulled that up. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, Luke.
Wow.
Luke, Lance, T.A. Fuller. I mean, you just go down the list. There's
Long's in there.
Yeah, Long. Who just shot 65 Saturday. A little 7 under par snoozer for Jeff.
Oh, no.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Couldn't get 8 under, huh? Just
no. I mean, he's just phenomenal. I mean, he's like those interviews you've done, and you've done Wong, and you've done Joe, and you've done Mr. Buse, who shot 62. Lance Lancome has shot 62, and they all say the same thing. I just hit it where I want. I don't take any big risks. And, obviously it all comes down to short game. And I'm telling you, Wong has probably the best short game I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and when you watch these guys swing,
it looks effortless.
Have you ever seen Cephas swing?
Yes, I've played with Cephas.
Okay, so Dennis, when Cephas, the DC Tour Director swings, he looks like he's having a convulsion. I mean,
so Charles Barkley.
It's worse.
Charles Barkley.
It's worse. It's worse. And then you put him next to Jeff Long or Jaspers or Buse or any of these other really good champ players, and you're like, oh my God, how did Cephas even hit the ball?
Yeah.
But these champ like guys, their swing is so smooth and so almost seems effortless, and the sound of the ball coming off their club, it's just a different sound.
Yeah. Joe I've played with Joe probably more than anybody over the past. He's been with me about 25 years, and I call him Iron Byron. Yeah. His swing it's never changed. It looks like what you would see in a mechanic thing, where that swing comes right through and the club's perfectly squared every time. Now Lance, he swings like Scotty Scheffler. His foot's coming off the ground. Mm-hmm. He's turning. He hits at 350. He doesn't care where it goes because he knows it's going to be 350. So it's going to be past all the hazards. And he's going to have wedge in his hand. He doesn't care where it goes as long as it's not in the water. So, it's amazing that, all these guys, more and more now we're seeing under par every week. Somebody's shooting under par. We just really have a talented amount of players out there, especially in champ play.
Yeah. And where is champ play for national championship this year?
So this year, we're going back to the old way where we play 2 rounds at one course and then 1 round at another. So we're playing 2 rounds at Atlantic Dunes Friday, and it'll finish on Sunday. And then round 2 will be at Golden Bear.
Man. There's going to be some no scores.
Yeah. Well, Atlantic Dunes, technically here, I don't think anyone's ever broke par over the 3-day situation we had. But to me, Atlantic Dunes is one of the hardest courses. Especially when I put it all the way back, and I don't even bury them, but it's just that back 9 is tough. It's just tough. I mean, the closing 4 holes, even Joe Jaspers one year could have won it. He was 5 under standing on after he eagled 14 and finished 1 over. And that's Joe. Yeah. So, and he lost by 1. He called it the great, what was the NASCAR comedy with Will Ferrell.
Ricky Bobby. Talladega Nights.
Yeah, he said it was just like a train wreck, and I couldn't stop it, So, but anyway, yes, it'll be a battle for sure. D-Flight will play the opposite of those, so they get a chance to play Atlantic Dunes one day, and they'll play Golden Bear 2 days. And we just played there about a month ago on the Hilton Head Tour, and the place is the best I've ever seen. It's smack. Yeah,
I love the Golden Bear.
Nice.
That's a good, really good course.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have a bad course in the lineup this year. And I even changed up the senior some, and I added Fazio and Hilton Head National, so I'm trying to switch it up when I can. On Golfweek, it's pretty hard because we're at 8 courses and there's only so many courses on the island that we can tag,
Right.
But we rotate them in and out. So about every 5 years, you're going to be back to a course you played, 4 years ago.
Unless you move up.
Unless you move up. Speaking of you. Another couple high 70s, and we'll see you in the A-Flight.
Hey, that's the goal next year is to just bite the bullet and see how it works.
Yeah. Well, it might not even be next year.
It might not.
You got a couple 2 days coming up, and you're regional out at TPC, so you got a lot of scores still coming your way and you've been close. Like Tim said, the last 2 regionals you went to, you were right there.
2nd and 3rd.
So, yeah. So it'd be great to see. Again, we've got a few guys that, believe it or not, over 30 years have started ND and made it all the way to champ.
That's my goal.
Can you talk about the idea of the Directors Cup?
Yeah, sure. So it's not really my idea. We've had this ongoing thing. What could we do for the tour directors differently during nationals? So I came up with, we've got 4 or 5 guys in champ that are directors. We've got 10 or 12 in every other flight. So I'm going to host the Tour Directors Cup, and it's going to be what you're going to take your 3 combined scores for each day, and it's a 3-day total. The low in each flight, I'm going to award a cup by flight, 2024 Tour Director Cup, along with some gift cards from Edwin Watts to help spice the pot up. Now, the players or the tour directors themselves, I know when we get to the tour director meeting, there's going to be some cash betting. So I'm sure there'll be a lot more on the line other than my gift cards that I'm going to be giving them. Not to mention smack talk. If you're the tour director, the first tour director to win the cup,
right?
That's going to go 12 months of bragging rights. And we're doing it on both Golfweek and Senior. Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Kind of like when we added the 2-man team. It's a tournament within the tournament. But this time it's for the tour directors only, and I'm sure their players will find out about it. Their players will be rooting them on. So I think, again, it just brings more camaraderie and more fun to the event.
Exactly. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I do too. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I mean, we'll get everything set for nationals. Again, hopefully all you guys grab what's left of these regionals that are out there that we've mentioned, and they're on the front of the webpage. Again, I'm going to Sea Island this weekend, and then after that, there's not many left on either the Golfweek or the Senior side to play it.
That's it.
And now that, your shirt thing's winding. What, you got 2 more months?
Yeah, we got voting closes. Well, by the time this airs, voting for the June winner will be over, And then we only have July and August, and then we get into the bracket.
Awesome. That's great.
Well, Dennis, thank you so much for taking some time out. I know you're busy getting ready for the regional and a bunch of other things going on. So thanks so much for taking some time with us today.
Absolutely, guys. And again, congrats on your 50th episode. That is truly just amazing, and you do a great job for us.
Appreciate it.
All right.
It's always great to have Dennis on with us, but even especially now, because we wouldn't be able to have this podcast if it wasn't for his okay. And I know you were the main point in selling it to him. I'm just glad that we were able to kind of show what we could bring to the table, this last year and a half, almost 2 years.
Yeah. When I pitched the idea to him, we didn't have any idea it was going to grow to be this big. We should have, but we didn't.
Right.
And it was really, at the time, I was looking, I needed to do something that was fun, that wasn't work related, with some of the other things that I had going on, with work and the tour. And so I needed to do something that was just fun.
Right.
And we didn't have any idea that this was going to blow up the way that it did. Again, we should have. But when you go back and you listen to the first episode, that was how we approached it, right?
Right.
And that's kind of how we sounded. And then as, I think it was really right around National Championship that year that we realized that we had something, with comments that we got after really, so our first episode was on September 10th.
Yeah, right after 2020. TPC.
Right. And so, we had 3 episodes before National Championship. So 3 episodes, and that's it. Okay. Yep. And the feedback that we got at National Championship really kind of blew us away. I mean, it blew me away.
Right.
It was at that point that, not that we said, we better take it seriously, because we were taking it seriously, but it was more, okay, if this is the feedback that we're getting and this is, the direction that this is heading, we really need to make sure that we are approaching it differently. We call it seasons, right? And really, the next season starts when registration opens for the next year.
Right.
So, and I think you can really tell when registration opened for 2023, that first episode, you saw a little bit of shift. And again, I really think that we've gotten better on a number of different fronts with how we approach it and how we do the episodes. But I think that's where you can really start seeing the growth from that point.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the first episode, I did it with a pair of headphones, some AirPods, and you already knew what you were going to do. You had your whole setup. But even being able to, build up our gear and knowing that we're going to take this to the fullest that we can, and hopefully everybody's along for the ride, seeing those fruits from what we did pays off. And like you said, National Championship, people that I didn't even know heard my voice and realized I was part of the podcast.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just things like that, with only having 3 episodes, showed that this could grow into something really big, not just for us, because I'm not gonna lie, it was nerve-wracking the first couple episodes, not knowing what to expect, how was I gonna sound, I've never done this before, to, maybe we do have something, and let's keep building on it, let's keep going. I think you and me had tweaks here and there as far as how we were gonna approach each guest and what we were gonna ask and talk about, and were we just gonna let it flow, or this guest wants questions, this guest, what is this guest going to talk about? And being able to just feed off each other helped each episode get better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've gotten to the point again where we're doing live shows. And, a few weeks ago, I went up to the Fripp Island Regional, as everybody knows, to interview winners. And that's where we met Mick and the Losers Club. So before we start talking about other episodes, let's do a rundown of Mick. He sent us a couple of videos, and they actually kind of went about predicting their scores. Let's listen in to see where Mick and the boys from Columbus are.
Tim Newman, it's Mick Archer from the Delaware Tour today. Here's the flag. Mick Archer predicted an 88. Mick Archer shot an 87 and won Sea Flight. What did you do, Phil?
I shot 105 and I sucked.
What did you do, Charlie?
102.
What did you do? Not good enough. Phil Shaw wins the flag. Mick is not winning any more flags.
And number one, I want to congratulate Mick, number one, for beating his predicted score, and number 2 for actually winning the sea flight. So he got a trophy, but he did not win the flag. So congratulations for getting off the snide. And I guess congratulations to Phil Shaw for picking up his first flag of the season.
There you go. I mean, that's what we want to hear, that he didn't go 3 for 3 since our interview, because then the interview might have been the bad luck part. I was worried about that for a second there. But going from 2 flags to a trophy is a big step, very big step.
Yeah. So it's congratulations to all those guys again. To me, that's really what it's all about, and to be able to share these stories from around the country, like kind of like we talked about with Dennis, we wouldn't know any of this stuff.
Right.
And every tour around the country is doing something that's really good and really great. That's one of the things about the podcast that we can be able to share that. You and I are going to talk about our favorite episodes here in just a couple minutes. But when you look at, and I'm going to talk about Trey and Gene and Louisiana North. I mean, how I feel about them. We hear all the time about what a good job they do. You and I saw it firsthand. And not only that, I mean, they're just top-notch people, top-notch individuals. They started to pick them. They do a great job with the pick them. If you haven't seen it, you need to. I don't watch it every time they do it, but I watch it periodically, and they're always having a good time, always having fun with it. Tidewater's doing one now. You're doing one now.
I'm doing one.
And so, things like that catch on because the guys and ladies love it.
Right.
So it's allowed to share some of these things.
I mean, I've done it, once this podcast launched, I've done it 3 times. And better believe my last event, I had guys coming up to me, "Oh, why didn't you pick me? I can't believe you didn't pick me. Watch that you picked the wrong person." And I'm like, "Hey man, one of my A flaggers came in and goes, I can't believe you didn't pick me." I said, "Dude, you just had a baby. I haven't seen you in 3 months. I don't know how you've been playing golf or not. I don't know what's going on." So I picked with the person that I've seen play recently. He's like, "You're going to regret it." And sure enough, he came and won by 2 strokes.
How about that? Good for him.
And he was like, "See, now you're never going to not pick me." I'm like, "Hey, you proved to me that you can still ball out. So, all right." But, things like that. And me and my pick-em partner, Jordan, I think I'm up 2-1. And I know he listens to the episode, so I just want to put it out there. I'm up 2-1. But now we're asking, members are asking, can I be a special picker? Can I be a special guest like Game Day has, how they have a special picker every week? I'm like, if we get enough people to do it, I'm not opposed to it. I do it now where I kind of added a little flair to it, where when people are checking in, they can put their pick'ems, and we add it up at the end, and whoever has the lowest wins a prize. Whoever has the lowest score wins a prize from. But you got to pick from every flight, and it kind of forces you to learn people that are not in your flight. Because a lot of guys are like, I don't know, these D flyers. I don't know these A flighters. Well, now it's time for you to start paying attention.
Right.
And start getting to meet these people, because that's what this whole tour is about, is making friendships.
Right. Building community and friendships and camaraderie and all those other things. Right.
So, it's just things like that I don't think if we were in Louisiana and we got to see them doing it, even if it was the men's locker room while people were using it.
No, men's bathroom.
While people were using it.
Get it right.
Right. Just being able to see that firsthand makes you consider doing it. So, things like that. Yeah, that was an episode that I had on my list of one of my favorites, those last ones. One of my other ones that I picked were.
Don't get into the favorites, right? Yeah, not yet.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm excited.
I know, me too. But I just the whole idea of we'll talk about our favorites, but just think about the number of different people that we've talked to. Go back to the registration from last year, right? We talked to Kelvin Hughes' kids. I mentioned that in when we were talking to Dennis. We talked to the guy who got, was it 3 hole-in-ones?
Yep.
3 hole-in-ones that last year. And
you would have never known about it?
Never known, right. We talked to Andrew Buse, who shot 62. Think about that, man. He shot 62 in a tournament. How rare is that?
Right.
Actually, there was 2 62s last year. And the other guy's name is and I know we're going to get an email about it. And I'm sorry that I don't remember.
Well, HB shot a 62 at Nationals that year, I believe.
Well, that first year, but I'm talking about last
Right.
year in a tournament. I think it was Chad Frank. I think it was Chad Frank. And if it wasn't Chad Frank, he just shot a 62. Didn't even know it.
Randomly, you didn't even know.
And if I got it wrong, whoever it is, I apologize.
I mean, but look at it this way, though. You know, you mentioned, having the guy on that had 3 hole-in-ones. We had a guy, as we're doing, I believe it was either that interview or the next one, a guy message on our live, "Hey, I have a gold coin in my thing. What does that mean?"
Oh, yes, that's right.
And he literally came back to where we were at so we could interview him about winning a national or free entry fee to this year.
Yep.
So, little things like that, he would have had to wait a full day to ask. And then who knows if that director at check-in would have known what he was even talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Which was you, by the way, because you checked in for us. So I was just throwing that out there.
So I do what I got to do.
So, things like that shows we're making strides.
All the episodes that Roger's on, I can't, it's invaluable. And Roger, I know you're listening, and we can't thank you enough for the time that you put into doing this for us and for the tour. It doesn't go unnoticed really by anybody, because Dennis and I have had conversations about it. He really appreciates it, and a lot of times Roger, when I know you're not on here, but I know you're listening, the questions that I send you come from Dennis or another tour director. Can you ask Roger this?
Right.
So, the time and effort that you put into this does not go unnoticed or unappreciated. So thank you very much for that.
Right. I mean, we've talked on there before how I'm kind of mountain time, you're East Coast time. So interviews are kind of later for you guys. And when we have, a one-off guest, it's easy to schedule something, but to try and schedule with Roger once a month at least, he's taking time out of his day to just come on with us for 30 minutes, which is awesome, and we greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely. So let's get into what you and I talked about, what we want to do. We've each chosen a few episodes that are our favorites, and we're going to go through and talk about them. I don't want you to give me all of them. We're going to take them. You're going to go, then I'm going to go, because if we choose the same one, so if you choose the same one that I did, that means I've got to choose a different one. And then if I go first,
I have 5 of them.
Okay, so I have 6. So if I choose one that was one of yours, then you have to choose a different one. Okay,
I get it.
So you go first.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the first episode.
Oh, you got to be kidding me!
And here's why. When we talked about this a while back, but when you asked me to do this, I was all for it. And then you said, "Oh, by the way, we're doing this in 8 days." Oh, okay, cool. You may not believe it, and our listeners might not believe it, but I'm more of a quiet, keep to myself type guy. So having to come out of my box, it really made me have to come out of my box to be able to just talk to people I've never met in my life. So I keep saying, go back and listen to it, because I'm shocked in myself on how much I've grown, but also it's made a new chapter, in my life, being able to do this. So first off, thank you for even choosing me, like we said before. But I think that's one of my favorite episodes, is being able to have proof that I was able to start a podcast. And even when I tell people, yeah, I have a podcast, they're like, no, you don't. I don't believe it. And then when I give them the link, they're like, oh, there's a picture of you, so you must be on there. And it's even gotten to the point where my youngest, who's 9 years old, listens to our podcast because he likes to listen to my voice on his iPad. So it's awesome. It's one of my favorites.
Well, thank you for saying that. But, and you and I have talked about this. There wasn't a second choice. You understand that?
Yes. Yes, I do. And I don't want to toot my own horn about that, but I was at a tournament and I was like, I'm going to call you back after, because I can't give you an answer now. It's been a fun ride, and I can't wait to see what we did this year and how we're going to top it next year. We haven't even talked about next year, and I can't wait to get those conversations started.
Yeah. I can't either, but let's look at what I call season 1, episode 1. It was launched on September 10th of 2022. We talked with Gabe Garcia. Was it last episode or episode before recently? He was our very first guest.
We had a trivia.
Yep. We had HB Kim from your tour on. He won TPC that year by 9 strokes. Can you believe that? He won.
Yes.
I
was there. I saw.
HB can play. He's one of the best players on the tour, which he turned up at the national championship that year and showed.
Yep.
We talked to my good friend Dan Cash. He won the regional at Myrtle Beach that year, and Jen was on. Talk about national championship.
Yes.
I would encourage all of our new listeners to go back and listen to that episode. That was where we started from. Obviously, we've only gotten better. Trust me.
It was the bottom of the barrel at that point.
And so I can't believe that you went there. You know what? I think that kind of shows, kind of how in sync that we are, because that was also the first one on my list.
Yeah, that's the first one on my list. So go ahead and I'll tell you if you take one of mine.
So again, I've got 5 more. We're going to go with season 2, episode 6, launched on January 18th of 2023. Championships and tattoos. It's what we do.
When you sent me, it's funny you say that, because when you sent me the question to find my episodes, I was going through it, and I go, babe, tell my wife, did you realize that we interviewed somebody who has a tattoo for every flight championship he's won? And she's like, no, you don't. I said, yeah, we do. Like I was as shocked as you were when I heard it. So that wasn't on my list. So you get a pass there. I can't wait to hear what yours is. But it was a fun episode. It really was.
Yeah, and actually, Luke Baum, he's a champ flight player from Chicago. He's now the Chicago tour director, and we've had him on a couple of times, and he's a great interview. Lots of fun. He came and played with the Atlanta tour that year at Bears Best. Fun to be around. Great guy, really good golfer. Last year, he also played the most events on tour of everybody as well.
And he was trying to make a nationwide and trying to play on every tour. I don't know how that ended up. We have to ask him at national.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him. He's playing. Oh, he played it at Sea Island this past weekend, so hopefully he did well. But you know what Dennis said about that champ flight down there is probably as tough a champ flight that you're going to find outside national championship.
Oh yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy.
So there's that. Yeah. So that episode, season 2, episode 6, January 18th, 2023, interviewed Luke Baum and some regional champions from the first couple of regionals of that year. So you're up next.
All right, I'm pretty sure this one's on your list. I didn't go as far as doing seasons and episodes and when it was announced, but when we had the James brothers on, that one was really special because having these guys make the trip to nationals every year as a family, and not just them, but bringing their family and their kids and all of that, and just hearing these stories that they have made me think of me and my family and me with my brother and the trip. So having them on there, and oh my God, it was so much fun. Even off air, waiting for their interviews to load. I think we were on for an hour later.
Yes.
Oh, I don't think I've laughed that much in a long time, in a very long time.
Yeah,
so that would be my second one.
Yeah, so that was June 21st, 2023. June 21st, 2023. I think I had that one on my list.
If you didn't, I'm going to be shocked.
So here's the thing. So let's just step away from this for just a second here. Okay. So I've got kids, I've got grandkids.
Right.
And, when my kids were younger, you go to parent-teacher conferences, and the teachers would always say, you've got to improve their handwriting. Their handwriting is horrible. You can't read it. And everybody looks at me like it's my fault that they can't read the writing, but my handwriting is atrocious.
So you can't even read your own handwriting.
There are times that is actually true.
Well, I guess what's the saying? The apple didn't fall far from the tree.
But you should see some of the scratch I've got on here, on my notepad here. But yeah, there are times I can't read it. And so, anytime that I write a lot, but a lot of times if it's something that's really important, I'll open up the notes app
and just type it out.
or,
Right.
or type it out or whatever, or I'll text it to myself or text it to Jen and say this is important or what have you. But I know I've got this episode on here somewhere because you're gonna laugh at one of my selections that we're gonna choose here.
Ooh.
But let's get back to this episode. Yeah, the season 2, episode 17, June 21st, 2023. You know, that's when we talked to Rick Wigington, who he shot a 270. He was in the B flight. He shot 270. Good for him, right? I mean,
Right.
but obviously,
I mean,
go ahead.
I've been in the 70s, and it's, you know, there's times where you don't even realize you're playing that good golf, and then there's times where you're enjoying how good you're playing. But to go to 2 under,
yeah,
I mean that's insane.
Exactly. And then he took the step of just go ahead and DQing himself because it was definitely out of range for the B flight.
Right.
But my
Which
goodness,
takes a lot of guts too to
It
do
does.
that too, because some people could just go in there and see what happens, and for him to, you know, take the honor and just say, hey, I shot the best that I can on that given day, and I'm not upset about it, and we know what's going to happen next. Just let me have it. It's just
Exactly.
awesome.
And then we get to, you know, you mentioned the James brothers. It was Charlie, Tyrone, Jonathan, and OJ from the Orlando tour, and Tony from the Augusta tour. Those guys are, again, top-notch individuals. A lot of fun to be around. You know, in our last tournament, we did a combo with Augusta and Columbia, and I got to see Tony. Actually, this is the first time I've seen him this year. Just a really good guy. It was good to see him. And we talked a little bit about national championship, and obviously they're all going to be there. So, you know, and the one thing about that episode to me that really stood out was that was our Father's Day episode. And, you know, it was really they were really talking about the relationship that they had with each other, but also the relationship that they had with their dad and that relationship to golf. And so
Right.
where it was fun, but it was also really kind of touching to have that conversation.
Right. And I think that's probably why it is in my top 3, because of the fact that, you know, that's how a lot of us got into the game, was because of our fathers.
Mhm.
And, you know, being able to kind of understand what they're saying and being able to kind of make a picture for myself really resonated in my heart. And that's why it's in the top 3 for me.
Yeah, that was really good. All right, so my next one, and you're gonna say I'm breaking the rules, but yeah, it's our podcast. We can do what we want. My next episode is really 4 episodes.
What?
Yes, my next episode is really 4 episodes, and here's why. Okay, it's season 2, episode 15, which was May 24th, 2023. Season 3, episode 12. May 6th of 24, season 3, episode 13, May 20th, and season 3 episode, that looks like 14.
I think I know where we're going with this.
They were our military tribute.
Yep.
And I couldn't just pick one of those because every single interview we did for them, to me, was just out of this world.
You know what? Because of the fact that it is under that umbrella of our military ones, I'll allow it as one. But you're right, though. You know, the stories that we got to hear, not only, you know, how they served our country, but also how they were able to, or how golf helped them, for some people, get through it.
Yeah.
Or helped some of them. You know, we had Billy Hinojos on one that he, you know, golf is helping him now as a veteran cope with what he had to go through. So just hearing those stories were great. I mean, you know, I have on my notes the interviews that we had with HB and Billy, because they're my members and I know them very well. But we had them also during the episodes that you speak of, and being able to meet other people around the country that just had awesome stories, whether they were on air or off air, was a lot of fun. So I'll allow it. You know, as much as you said it's our podcast, we can do whatever we want. I won't throw the yellow flag on this one.
Yeah, see,
you're safe.
You brought up those the father-son F-16 fighter pilots. I mean that.
Yep.
I mean, Jiminy Crickets, man. I mean, how incredible is that? You know, number one, to be a fighter pilot, and then to have your son following
your
his
footsteps
like that.
And that's not easy to do either.
No, it's not.
Not everybody gets to wake up and become a fighter pilot. Trust me, I know. I was unable to. So it's not like, oh, you can do that. But to be able to do that and follow in his footsteps is remarkable in itself.
Yeah.
And to top that, I want to add this to yours. You know, doing our American Dunes trip.
Yeah.
And being able to see what they have there with the fighter pilots, all of that. You know, me being I guess you could say a fanboy of it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there as well.
Yeah. I mentioned that. Was an interview with Dennis earlier in the episode. If you didn't get out to American Dunes this year, you need to go. Not only was it a great tournament, Michelle did a great job with it, but just being on grounds and having that, there's a different feeling of being there.
Right.
So,
even their huge flag they have in the middle of the 9th fairway.
Don't hit the flag, man.
It's funny though.
Why are you hitting my flag? Why are you hitting my flag?
It wasn't on purpose. The wind changed right when I swung and just flew that thing up in the air. And I was like, well, it is what it is. And then when I asked Michelle what the ruling was, she goes, I don't think anyone's ever hit that flag. I was like, well, it happened. So it is what it is. But no, I'll give you that. That's a good choice. That's a good pick.
And that, by the way, that June 3rd, 2024 episode is also the episode with Gaines Beard, which
yes,
I'm going to say, in my opinion, that's the best interview we've done ever.
I agree.
I mean, that was a well, we didn't really do the interview. We had a great guest.
Yes.
It was
just fun stories.
It was. I got to throw Ken Roman in there too, because I love that interview. I mean, he was, I mentioned that
We've
with
had
Dennis.
good interviews all year.
Yeah.
We have.
So,
all right, we're going to move on.
Okay.
My third and final pick in the 2024 episode draft. I'm just kidding. I know when it happened. It happened February 1st, 2023. And the reason why it happened, why this episode is my number 3, is because it really made me have to step up. It's my solo episode where I talked with Gabe.
Yes.
About 2023 goals we had for the tour. Not only with our tours itself, but with our personal golf. I think at that point, it took my game to a new level, knowing I had goals I had to accomplish for the season. But it also allowed me to become a better person on the mic and have to lead an episode, because you lead most of the episodes. Let's be real here. Every once in a while, you're like, hey, you take the lead here, and my foot starts shaking and I get real nervous. But having to try to fill at least half an hour worth of episode, that was one that sticks in the back of my mind. And that was one that I had to put on my list.
Well, you did a really good job of that. And that's the only episode out of 50 that was a solo episode. And you did a really good job. And I remember what happened and why that was the way that it was. But you really stepped up to fill in on that. And again, you did a really good job with it.
Right. And I think we were at a point where you and me talked about we can't skip an episode.
Right.
I mean, we were the ball was rolling so well that if we skipped an episode, it could have derailed everything.
Yep.
And if we would have skipped that one episode, who knows if you would have had 50. So I think that was a milestone. And, and trust me, from the bottom of my heart, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I think for both of us, it was kind of like, okay, we have something going. We can't skip it. We got to figure it out. And, I thank Gabe for stepping up and being my co-host, I guess you could say, for that episode. And he's going to be the trivia question until we decide to stop on who was the first one to ever be in an interview. And that was right after our first episode was right after his TPC one, where he just does an amazing job fundraising for our cancer fundraisers.
Yeah, he does.
So that's my third.
Again, you did a really good job. But again, I'm going to go. It's our podcast. We can do what we want. This was only 2 episodes, okay? And again, because I couldn't choose.
Okay.
All right. So one was season 2, episode 16, June 7th, 2023, and season 2, episode 21, August 16th of 2023. This is when we interviewed Brian Quackenbush right after he qualified to be in the U.S. Senior Open.
Yep, I remember that.
To me, when we can really highlight a member who has made such an incredible accomplishment, whether it was for the tour or not. I mean, he was in the Senior Open.
Right.
I mean, as an amateur to qualify for that, I mean, that is just to me.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. That. And so the second episode is when we interviewed Joe Jaspers when he qualified to be in the U.S. Senior Am.
Right.
Okay. And Joe said it himself, sometimes it's harder to qualify to get into these major events, these USGA events, than it is to actually win them. Right. And so when you can go in and you can qualify to be in these major USGA events, that to me is you deserves a good bit of recognition there.
Oh, definitely. It was cool to hear their story and how they practiced, they prepared, they qualified, and to be able to look up the scores, throughout the week and say, hey, I know that guy. Hey, I got to interview this guy. Who knows? Maybe one day, one guy will be top 10. And it's like, hey, we got to interview this guy. We need to get him back on to see how it felt to go through that ride all week. And there's so many different people on our tour that have the potential to do that.
Yeah.
Who knows what the future holds next year or the year after that, or
really at any moment, right?
Right.
We're qualifying for these because again, catching lightning in a bottle. You've got 18 holes to go out there and shoot the round of your life, and hoping three other people don't do the same thing.
Right. That it's your day to do it.
Right.
And because you don't get told, hey, guess what? You shoot 69 today, you qualify.
Right.
At check-in, nobody's telling you, hey, the number to beat is whatever.
Right.
You go out there and you've prepared, and now it's time to just play your game and hope that you play better than everybody else.
Exactly.
And sometimes it happens, and then I'm thinking just for the U.S. Open, you qualify locally, and then it's like, okay, I got to go do this again in 3 weeks,
right? For the
regional, and then you cast lightning in the bottle again, and you qualify for there, and it's like, okay, now I got to go prepare for the actual Open.
Exactly. Yeah. and these most of the time they only take the medalist, and then you're an alternate, right? Sometimes they take two and then an alternate, and then the only way that you get in is if the medalist at yours drops out.
Yep.
Obviously, I'll never qualify, right? But if it wherever it ever did, I don't care if my head was falling off. I'd figure out a way to make it to the first tee, whatever tournament that would be. I'm not dropping out.
Right.
You know what I mean? That is what it is.
Hopefully, we get to see somebody qualify again. Hopefully we can make it out there and root them on, or anybody can go out there and root them on. But we know people that are members of our tour that are doing things like this.
Exactly.
It's crazy. So, because it is our podcast, I'll allow you to have it. That wasn't part of the text, but those are good. And like the memorial one, we're gonna do that every year.
Yes.
Regardless. And every year it's gonna be great. And hopefully, it gets better and better and better. But that's why we do this, is for that. And I promise we're gonna get better on giving Mother's Day recognition. We will get better. Mark it, on this episode we said it. Since you did more than 3, I'm gonna throw one out there as well. The live shows we did at the regionals this year, those were fun.
They were blast.
Having Gina, you talked about it earlier, but Gina on there with the Louisiana tour, and we kind of had to go and round them up because they were avoiding us for a little bit. But once we actually got them to sit down and have a great conversation with us, it showed that they do care, and their tournament, was top notch. I got to play in it. I got to talk about the shirt contest and all that, but it's going to be tough to beat what we did this year. It's going to be tough. So these other regionals that are out there, if you want us to come out, you have a lot of work ahead of you. I don't see any other regionals doing a skills challenge like she did over there in Louisiana. That was fun.
That skills challenge was out of this world.
And by the way, do you remember who won B-Flight skills challenge?
Oh, I do. It was you.
Yes, it was. It was fun. That putting challenge was so much fun. I putted better on that putting challenge than I did on the actual course. And there was actual water on this putting challenge. It was crazy. I don't understand it.
Well, I can't believe the pro tore up his putting green to do that. Seriously.
You know.
And good on him. I mean, I appreciate what he did, and that's his thing. That's what he does. But that also just kind of shows the value that he thinks that the tour brings to the course.
Yes,
as well.
Definitely.
And again, you don't see that. You don't see that very much. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you don't see it at all, but you know, a lot of courses, you know, they're glad that we're there,
right.
And they're glad that we're bringing in players and such. But to see the pro there really value the tour and that relationship, you know, says a lot.
And honestly, you know, going back Sunday morning, you would have never known how many holes he put in that green. Their recovery was top notch as well, because it was putting like there was nothing done the day before. It was crazy.
Do you have any others? Any others on your list? Because if you do, just put them out there. Because
no, you know, I stuck with, you said 3 and get a little extra just in case. So I stuck with the rules.
I can't do that, man.
You know, I'm not surprised, but it was well done. It was well done, because I mean, you can't pick, like you said, you can't pick one episode from the memorial ones we've had.
Right.
You just can't. And then to have, you know, your third, have 2 guys qualify for big events, you know, you can't pick one over the other. Now, if one of them would have won that event, then definitely we could have picked one or the other. But to qualify is step 1, in my opinion.
Well, how about the episode with Matt Foch and how he built out his golf simulator? That was a good one.
He needs to come down and do that for me for free.
That was good. That was a good episode. So I also picked that one, and I also picked March 15th, 2023. It's when we interviewed Terry Cardwell from the Kansas Tour, where he said he wanted to be the Jeff Long of the D-Flight.
Yep.
And we interviewed Cephas.
Oh, Cephas.
With his golf cart caught on fire.
Yep.
And Adam Woodard from Golfweek. That was really good. That was also really good. I chose this because of Cephas and catching the golf cart on fire. That's why that was on my list.
Well, with all the electronics he has on his golf cart, I'm surprised this is the first time. Jesus. But you know, and to kind of wrap it up, like, we've interviewed so many people from all over the country. We even had an interview that we had to schedule when he was on vacation in Hawaii. For that?
Yes. Yep.
And I mean, I think if we haven't, we're pretty close on touching every state that we've interviewed somebody in.
Yeah, now there's some tours that haven't been on here.
We're gonna get you.
You can't keep ducking us.
Yeah, we're gonna get you, and you better do it now, because if you don't, we're gonna get you on a live show, and people are gonna actually have to see you.
Yeah.
Here they don't have to see you. On a live show, we're gonna get you on there. So keep trying, but eventually it'll catch up. Even if we have to get the president to drag you over there to get an interview, we'll get you on there.
I'll buy you a beer. Come on over. I'll buy you a beer, and
that'll bring a lot of Be careful there.
See, that's all right.
That's almost like a hole-in-one tab. I don't think you want to do that.
No, I would do it for everybody. Yeah, you get. Oh man, Chris. This has been so much fun. Really looking forward to finishing out this year and seeing where we can improve for next year.
Oh yeah, I'm already looking
and keep
forward.
getting better.
Yes, I'm already looking forward to our 75th episode, and then our 100th episode, and then just keep going from there. I keep saying it, it's a fun ride that we're on. Again, thank you for even picking me to do it. And, here's to more.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be fun. And I may not know all the details, and you may not know all the details, but I know what's going to happen in the future is going to be awesome.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to say that now. Can't wait for our next live show at Nationals, because those are fun.
Oh, next live show is French lick.
Well, yes, but like where you and me are actually in the same room.
Together. All right.
Yes. Yes, because those are fun. And, you know, and she might hear this, she might not. She's in the living room, but we should get our wives on that episode and just drill them a couple times.
That's fine with me. It's fine with me.
I know Jen's okay with it. I don't think she is, but I'm going to just.
Well, trying to get her on at the Cajun Classic, she was very, very hesitant.
She was very nervous. So I may just prep her so I don't have to deal with the questions later. But I think that'd be cool because, you know, without them letting us do this, as you know, spend, you know, whether it's late nights for you or early mornings for me, it's without them being able to do that, letting us do this, we wouldn't be at 50 episodes.
Without their support in pretty much everything that we do with the tour, it just doesn't happen, right?
Right.
Well, Chris, you thanked me for choosing you. Like I said, there was no second option. If you said no, there was no second option. So you would have said yes, and we would have found a way to
bought me a beer.
I do have some torture tactics and some coercion methods that I don't like to share very often. But seriously, there was no second option, and I can't even imagine doing this with anybody else. It's been a great ride. And again, you know, as much as I enjoy it with you, without our members and without our listeners, we're not here. So we have to make sure that we always keep that in the forefront and let them know that, or hope that they know that that's where our thoughts and feelings is with them. And again, as always, if you have questions or if you want us to cover something, please reach out to us.
Yes.
Shoot us an email. My email is timnatc@amateurgolftour.net, and Chris?
El Paso @amateurgolftour.net.
So the only other request that I have of our members and our listeners is please go to Apple and Spotify and give us a 5-star and give us a rating.
Yes,
give us a review. You can't imagine how much that helps in the search engines and people finding this, and not only growing the podcast but growing the tour as well. So go to Apple and Spotify, wherever you're listening to us at. You know, give us a 5-star and give us a review.
Yeah, and I mean it encourages us because when we see those, you know, we get excited, and whether it's good or bad, like even if we're gonna learn from our mistakes. So listen to episode 1, listen to episode 50. We've learned a lot, but it makes us feel good and it makes us know that you're listening. I mean, we see the numbers all the time, but having those little positive things really help us keep that tank full.
Exactly. All right, my friend. When's next tournament for you?
Mine is this coming weekend. We're going to be up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, up north New Mexico, at 2 golf courses. The one we played last year I think I shot us like 75, and their sister course right below them. So it's going to be a fun little 2-day major, kind of a tune-up to TPC. It's kind of the same layout here or there. And yeah, that's it. See how it goes.
All right. Well, good luck. Drive safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. We'll talk soon.
Bud. Take care.
Have a good one.
Chris, we didn't do it again.
What didn't we do?
We didn't say how to join the tour.
That's right. It's simple. All you need to do is go to amateurgolftour.net, click the Join the Tour button, and pay your local tours membership.
Thanks, Chris. Membership for 2024 is open, so register today to join the oldest, largest, and best amateur tour in the country.